Hello and welcome to Real Deal EV. Today we're going to be going over how to replace your headlight on your Tesla Model 3 or Model Y. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up your frunk. You're going to go and clean out all that debris, or some may call it debris. The next thing, I just pop these little holes, pop these little covers up, and then I decided to take that panel off. You can go whatever order you want, but underneath of these little covers is two little screws. That little screw goes onto the windshield washer reservoir. Don't forget to take that one off. So now I removed the other two screws. Now you remove that cover. Now if you paid attention, I didn't disconnect a wire there. I didn't work on this car previously, somebody else did, but they forgot to put that wire back on. So in there you got 6 total screws. I got it in fast. I don't work this quick, so now I'm trying to keep up. So there's six total screws in there. Once you got those disconnected, you can remove it. And as you can see, I pulled the little clips off of the air intake up there. A little bit more cleaning. Inside the air intake, clean the leaves out of there. As you can see, that contraption right there. You got to get that out of there. The next thing I did is remove the 6 screws that hold the front bumper on. There's those screws. Those are all 10mm heads. Now I'm going to reposition the camera and start jacking the car up. When you do this, you're going to turn your wheel to the right, and it allows more access to this bumper cover. Now the wheel's turned to the right. I didn't show that process. I think that's self-explanatory. And here there's 3 clips. You can take those 3 clips out. And then there's one 10mm nut that's underneath of there, right where those scratches are right there. But then you're going to go underneath the car, remove these remaining clips. I go about to the middle of the car, depending on what side you're working on. Some people may find it easier to take the entire front bumper off. It's a little quicker to take it halfway off, but it does make it more difficult and more challenging to get the headlight in. So you choose. Now we're going to have, there's 3 10mm screws or 10mm bolts that go up into that hold the bumper to the fender. So I removed those 3. And then as you can see here, it was still attached. So I decided to take some tape it up, so that way we don't get any chips or anything on the paint. And then I'm going to go focus on that 10mm nut that was in the bottom of the bumper that holds the bottom valance on. As you can see it there, that's the nut. Once you loosen that, you'll see the stud come down. There's a stud that goes into that lower valance. Now you start pulling the bumper off. You're going to kind of lift up around that headlight, and then where my left hand was there, you're going to pull that out away from the headlight. And then from here, you got one 10mm bolt on this side, and then you got one 10mm bolt on the other side. And that's the only thing that holds the headlight on, other than the wire harness, but I'll get to that. As you can see, this one's got some moisture in it. You can see there's a crack in the headlight. So I ended up getting the moisture inside of there, and it caused the headlight to no longer work. And normally, all right, there's the wiring disconnect. So as I work on that, I'll explain to you about the ECU. I was gonna replace the ECU from one headlight to the other because that's what I normally do, but this one had moisture inside of it, so it wasn't swappable. So I had to put a new ECU on the new headlight, came with the new headlight, and then reprogram the car. So there's the clip for the headlight after you get that removed. Now the whole headlight will come out. Now this is the part that's kind of tricky if you're leaving the bumper on like I did. You just got to be very cautious. Obviously, you don't want to mess up the paint on the car. Um, so you just kind of wiggle it out. And then I realized that I wanted to make a little bit more access on the other side. So I ended up loosening the bumper a little bit more. So as you can see, I'm just kind of wiggling it through. And then I say, you know what? I'm going to give myself a little bit more access. So I went to the other side and did the exact same thing to remove some tension from that front bumper. And it's a good idea if you really want to protect everything. I'm very cautious and very slow, but you can wrap everything in painter's tape so that way you don't damage any of the paint. All right, so now that we've got the headlight out, I'm going to take it over and place it on the workbench and start swapping the ECUs. There's the old, the new. This is the ECU. So I did a demonstration of what you would normally do to swap it over, but I didn't know that the other ECU was bad. So I ended up basically keeping it the same way that it currently is. So there's a little clip there. You're going to release that clip. It's a push button, and then that little clip pulls down. And then from there, it's kind of difficult to get, but you just got to pull tension down on it and then pull the plug out at the same time. It's like a little rocker. So now you're going to put the ECU back on. This is a new one again, so you have to reprogram it. And in the next step, I'll show you how to basically push a software update to your car. So it's going to go into service mode. So you're going to hold down your name, type in service, enable, and then you're going to go into software reinstall. I didn't actually do it because I had just done it. But now I'm just testing the lights, making sure they're all good. This one's not mounted in yet. Left it out so I could see it. And so from this point, new headlight, nice paint, be very careful. As I put it in here, I'm just trying to watch over everything, make sure I'm not smashing anything, not hitting the paint, and it kind of slides right up. The problem I had into on this one right here is there was a wiring bundle on the left-hand side where my hand is that was kind of in the way. Um, so all I was doing was just making sure that that wasn't binding up, and I just pushed that down and out of the way, and that allowed the headlight to clear it and then slide in. Now from this point, you got 3 mounting points in the top of the headlight. There's a little pin that slides in. Then you got the 10 millimeter screw on the left hand side and the 10 millimeter screw on the right hand side. Now I'm just plugging in the wiring harness. Now I'm putting in that 10 millimeter screw on the left hand side. Then coming over, putting the screw on the right hand side. And what I always do is hopefully the car's never been messed with before, and you can look where the paint lines are on the bumper or where the mounts were originally, and you can usually get the headlight lined up pretty darn close. Now I'm just going to take the bumper and help slide it in, make sure it clips in on both sides. As you can see here, it went in pretty easily. You're going to kind of rock it down. And I didn't really like the way that this one was sitting. It seemed like that headlight needed to go up a little bit more. So I just gave it a little extra persuasion. All right, so now we're going to take this black plastic piece that fell out of the bumper. This is what holds the bumper to the fender. You just want to make sure the orientation is correct. The U is going to be kind of towards you. And there's going to be 3 10 millimeter screws that go in there. And on this one, before you send your screws home, you want to make sure that your fender and your bumper are lined up. You don't want to have, bad Tesla factory lines. Make it better than how they did it. You can see my sheer focus and determination here. So after you get all 3 of those mounted in there, check to make sure you're flush, take your tape off. Make sure you don't peel off any clear coat or anything like that. And so now I'm going to go work on the lower valance. So there's tabs that you want to make sure that they slide back up into place for the bumper. Those little tabs can be kind of challenging. You just kind of pull the bumper out and then slide the tabs up into it. And once you get all those in, then you're going to take your trim pieces and start clipping your trim pieces in. There's the 10mm nut that holds that lower valance on. So you got to put that on the stud, tighten it up, work all your fender liner pieces back in. Now I'm putting those 3 clips into the fender liner for the bumper. All right, now we're gonna put those 6 screws back in the front bumper. And the next thing we're gonna do is bring our frunk container back in. As you can see, I didn't put the wire through like I should have. I'm working on putting the clips all the way around this frunk insert. At this point, I started screwing all the screws back in. So you got the 2 that I just did underneath that cover. Now I start putting the other cover back on. So there's still 2 more underneath the carpet, 2 more screws that need to be screwed in. But here I work on putting those clips back in. Here's the 2 underneath the carpet. And then the last step is putting this cover back on and plugging in the wiring harness to it. And this is where I say, wait, where's the wire? So, lesson to be learned, make sure you pull that wire out, because now I got to undo those 6 screws and do it all over again. I left this in the video because, I mean, we all make mistakes. And I wasn't thinking about it because it was actually never hooked up the first time. And as you can see, it had been sitting down in there for a while. I'm not sure what I'm trying to do. Oh, I think I'm trying to just go about it without removing all the screws. And then I realized I'm just going to take these other 2 screws out. So that's what I did. Take those 2 out and just lift the whole thing up. And then from here, now I got the wire and I'm going to pull it through. And I noticed that it must have been hanging out in there for a while because there was quite a bit of corrosion on there, as you'll see here in a second. You can see it's all green. So I went ahead and cleaned it all up with some electric cleaner and some other wiring to clean off some of that corrosion. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and reclip everything down again and then secure all the screws again. So just making sure all the clips go down. Here's the top screw, the other screw. And you got the 2 that hold underneath the cover, the 2 underneath the carpet, and then we should have one up by the washer reservoir still. I don't believe I got that one yet. There it is. Now I can hook my wiring up to it. And that's all that is the emergency frunk release in case somebody gets trapped in there, they can get themselves out. So from this point, we're going to get the cover, put it on the top of the cowling there. Make sure it gets all clipped down. Get your tools out of there, wipe everything off, and you got yourself a brand new headlight installed at a fraction of the cost that Tesla would do it. So thanks for watching Real Deal EV. Let us know if you have anything else.